For years, Donald Trump treated tariffs as his ace card to force companies back to the United States, open factories, and create jobs. The theory sounded logical. Slap high taxes on imports to compel domestic production. But the case of Tyson Foods, the nation's leading meat processor, shows this policy can produce the opposite effect. Instead of investing more, companies cut back and pull out. In less than 2 years, Tyson has shut down multiple facilities, erased thousands of jobs, and left rural industrial towns in a state of decline. Instead of reviving production, the wave of layoffs has turned the Bring Jobs Back slogan into a harsh paradox. According to investigative data from Investigate Midwest, 2023 marked the darkest year in Tyson Foods' workforce history. In just 12 months, the company wiped out more than 4,200 jobs, a figure that exceeded the total layoffs of the previous decade combined. This was not just a dry statistic, but thousands of life stories pushed into the abyss of unemployment. The wave of closures spread like a plague, gutting communities across North Little Rock, Arkansas, Noel and Dexter, Missouri, Corydon, Indiana, Glen Allen, Virginia, and Van Buren, Arkansas. It didn't stop there. By the end of 2024, Tyson delivered a crushing blow. 2 plants in Philadelphia were shut down, stripping 229 people of their livelihoods. The Emporia, Kansas facility, where 809 workers had held on for generations, was placed on the kill list. The result? In less than 24 months, thousands of American families lost their main source of income, and notably, these were not decrepit or perpetually unprofitable plants. On the contrary, many were still key links in the national food supply chain. Tyson's sudden closure shattered community resilience. Towns had no time to pivot or find replacement jobs. Within weeks, a domino effect hit. Shops, diners, gas stations, and local suppliers saw revenues plunge, many forced to shut entirely. From a single decision in a boardroom, an entire local economic ecosystem was wiped out, leaving behind silent streets and cold, empty plants standing as monuments to a brutal retreat. Tyson called this wave of closures a production network optimization, a phrase that sounds like a well-crafted strategic move. But pull back the PR curtain, and the reality is a massive cost storm closing in on the company. Raw material costs, a direct punch to profit margins. In just the most recent quarter, Tyson's production costs jumped by $470 million. The primary reason? Soaring cattle prices due to a severe supply shortage across the United States. Prolonged droughts in major cattle-producing states and higher feed costs have pushed raw material prices to their highest levels in years, squeezing margins right from the start of the supply chain. Beef division from golden goose to financial black hole. In Q2 2025, Tyson posted a $258 million loss in its beef segment, one of the industry's worst quarters in more than a decade. Meanwhile, chicken, buoyed by rising domestic demand and stable prices, generated $262 million in profit, up 66% year over year. This stark contrast reveals an unspoken ditch beef, keep chicken strategy quietly unfolding inside Tyson. Tariffs fuel on the fire. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and imported meat, combined with threats of triple-digit tariffs on Mexican-made cars, have poured gasoline on operating costs. Steel and aluminum are essential for plant maintenance, while tariffs on imported meat make substitute raw materials from international markets even more expensive. Logistics and transport costs, already elevated by inflation, have been further driven up as supply routes are disrupted. The final decision. Close to survive. When total costs blew past the breaking point, Tyson did not choose to expand domestically as the Bring Jobs Back to America promise once painted. Instead, it slashed high-cost plants. Production was redirected to more modern facilities or those in lower-cost regions, maximizing profit but leaving behind jobless communities, cold factories, and shattered local supply chains, all triggered by a single decision in a corporate boardroom. Tyson runs its production chain almost entirely on tightly bound poultry growing contracts with farmers. Growers must invest millions of dollars in building facilities to the company's specifications in return for a guaranteed outlet. But when a plant shuts down, these contracts can be canceled with nothing more than an email, leaving farmers with massive debt and facilities reduced to scrap metal. The case of Sean Hinkle in Missouri is a brutal example. He borrowed $2.3 million to build 4 chicken houses, each nearly 150 meters long, to supply Tyson's Dexter plant. In October 2023, Tyson announced the plant's closure, and his entire debt repayment plan collapsed. Rising interest rates and maintenance costs swelled the debt to $2.8 million, while his main source of income was cut off overnight. Sean was not alone. Dozens of other growers in Missouri and Arkansas lost their entire flocks within weeks, forced to sell equipment for less than half its value, or see banks foreclose and seize their farms. According to the Missouri Independent, many households went bankrupt shortly after Tyson pulled the plug, losing land, homes, and assets built over generations. This was not merely a business failure, it was a collapse of the rural livelihood bridge, sweeping entire communities into ruin. The impact didn't stop at the farm gates. In many rural towns, Tyson was not only the largest employer but also the engine keeping the entire local economy running. When that link was pulled out, the whole local value chain collapsed like a domino effect. In Noel, Missouri, where a Tyson plant once operated, the closure wiped out 22% of the town's GDP and nearly 1/3 of its sales tax revenue. More than $8 million vanished from the budget in just a single year. A report from the Economic Development Office showed that within 3 months of the shutdown, grocery stores, diners, and gas stations saw revenues plunge by 40–60%. Small businesses that relied on plant workers' spending shut down one after another, many unable to hold out for even a few weeks. As jobs disappeared, residents were forced to leave in search of new livelihoods. Population decline left behind empty streets, dusty storefronts with for sale signs dangling in the windows, and cold, abandoned plants standing like monuments to a dead economy. Losing Tyson meant losing the economic pillar. And once that pillar snapped, the entire community collapsed. While thousands of Tyson workers lost their jobs and contract farmers drowned in bank debt, the company's leadership remained in a luxury world entirely detached from harsh reality. According to SEC filings, CEO Donnie King received a base salary of $1.45 million, not counting nearly $6 million in bonuses for fiscal year 2024. That means each working day was worth over $20,000. Roughly the annual income of many Tyson employees before they were laid off. Equally extravagant, Chairman John H. Tyson spent $2.98 million on private jet use in 2024, nearly triple the amount in 2023. That sum, just for air travel, could have covered a full year's wages for more than 100 plant workers. What fuels even greater outrage is that Tyson still received tens of millions in federal subsidies, mostly through agricultural support programs. Watchdog groups like Food and Water Watch and The Guardian have pointed out that much of this aid went to mega farms, massive industrial operations and Tyson's largest partners, instead of rescuing small family farms on the brink of bankruptcy. This paints a bitter paradox. At the top of the pyramid, Tyson's leadership continues to accumulate wealth and enjoy privilege, while at the bottom, thousands of workers and farmers lose their livelihoods, their homes, and their futures. That divide is not just economic injustice. It is a dangerous fracture in the social fabric of rural America. The Tyson case is only the tip of the iceberg. When trade policy is designed as a short-term political tool without being tied to long-term support strategies, the result is a vicious cycle of close-lose jobs, local decline. The lesson here is, tariffs must be paired with retraining programs and industry transition support. Farmers and small businesses must have fair access to capital and subsidies. Subsidy eligibility should be tied to commitments for maintaining local employment. Conclusion: a warning for the next North Little Rock. The towns losing Tyson today could be the image of many U.S. communities tomorrow if policy continues to put political gains and short-term profits over people. The slogan, "Bring jobs back," only has meaning when paired with real measures, protecting existing jobs, supporting those affected, and ensuring economic benefits are distributed fairly. Otherwise, with each plant closure, another community will slip into darkness.